Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. It has been a while since I've done any like sit down talk videos or anything really consistent, but it is now 2025 and I am really gonna stick with this year because I got some feedback last year that really hit my heart of like people who actively watch my videos, or even just like my friends that are supportive of me, my teachers that are supportive of me. And I realized that I kind of shouldn't care what others think and just do what I enjoy. And I enjoy making these videos. I enjoy making video content. So yeah, today is January 7th and I am starting a new reading plan, a new everything like that. I won't get into my reading plan right now because I want to make this a book vlog or a reading vlog, whatever you want to call it, of just me reading a book and sharing my experiences and all the things. So I thought I'd start with my absolute favorite book of all time, The Selection. I'm going to do the entire series, but I have loved this book since I read it in like the 6th grade. And I come back to reading it every so often because it is the book is the reason I love to read. Reading this was like the catalyst for all of it. And so I really want to start off this year by, you know, getting in the door with a solid footing and revitalizing my love to read, because I feel like I kind of lost my love to read last semester. But I am also, you know, finishing my degree, going into post-grad life in 2025, and so I want to be as diligent about this as I can, but also make it realistic. So we're starting off January 7th reading The Selection, trying to get through one book a week. My goal is 52 books this year. I said I wasn't going to go into my reading goals, and then I am. So yeah, we're going to start with this book. I'm going to share this experience with y'all, and just a heads up, there will probably be spoilers because this book came out I don't know how long ago. So if you haven't read it, I highly suggest you read it and then come back and watch this video, because I have my own opinions on things, but I will be sharing spoilers because I love this book too much to not. So yeah, what I'm going to do before I start reading this, now that I've done this spiel, is I am going to sit down and talk about my reading plan for a separate video, probably the one you saw before this, and then I'm going to get into reading this. So I'll be back soon. Okay, I'm in the first chapter, and if you don't know how the book starts, I'm basically just going to tell you bit by bit of the story. It starts with, immediately, they had received a letter in the mail about The Selection, which is the name of the competition. This may seem all confusing, but blah, blah, blah. The main character is 16 years old. I think. Yes, I believe she's 16. I don't know. But any woman, young woman, that is single between the ages of 16 and 20, based on the census, was sent a letter by the great nation of Ilya. That's the name of the country that they live in, is Ilya, or Ilya. Ilya. There we go. So I'll just read what the letter says. Our beloved prince, Maxton Shreve, is coming of age this month. As he ventures into this new part of his life, he hopes to move forward with a partner to marry a true daughter of Ilya. If your eligible daughter, sister, or charge is interested in possibly becoming the bride of Prince Maxton and the Honorable Princess of Ilya, please fill out the enclosed form and return it to your local province service office. One woman from each province will be drawn at random to meet the prince. Participants will be housed at the lovely Ilya Palace in Angelus for the duration of their stay. The families of each participant will be generously compensated for their service to the royal family. Blah, blah, blah. I think that's the gist of the letter. But I'm going to keep reading what the book says. This is in the point of view of the main character. I rolled my eyes as she went on. This was the way they did it with sons. Princesses born into the royal family were sold off into marriage in an attempt to solidify our young relations with other countries. I understood why it was done. We needed allies. But I didn't like it. I didn't have to see such a thing, and I hoped I never would. The royal family hadn't produced a princess in 3 generations. Princes, however, married women of the people to keep up the morale of our sometimes volatile nation. I think the selection was meant to draw us together and remind everyone that Ilya itself was born out of next to nothing. So yeah, basically, the contest that they're entering is, I describe it as a mix between The Bachelor and The Hunger Games, because they're drawn at random, like The Hunger Games. And there's one woman from each province. There's 35 provinces that make up the nation of Ilya, which is like North America. But there's so much backstory to this book. So before this book happened, like 200 years before this book happened, something like that. Maybe even longer than that. World War III broke out. America lost to China, I believe, or like signed a treaty with China and became the United Nations of China. And under the Chinese rule, were still a nation, but like had a lot of really bad aftermath of being at war. There's a lot of like, I think, bombs and stuff that went off. I don't know. After many years of being under the Republic of China or whatever, they then resurrected a rebellion against the Chinese culture, or the Chinese, I don't know, I don't remember what they called them, and became their own nation again under one, instead of president, he made himself king. So we went back to a monarchy, apparently. And all of these 35 provinces are now under the rule of this one king, and he lives like in Angeles, which is like Los Angeles, where California was. And yeah, so 35 provinces under one regime, making up the entirety of North America, not just like the continental United States, but also like a little bit into Canada and a little bit into Mexico. 35 provinces, all the things. America is the name of the main character, which is very important later on. And she grew up in Carolina. That's the province she grew up in. I don't think it ever says the town name, but she grew up in Carolina, which is where you would imagine the Carolinas to be if you look at a map. And yeah, so she's 16. The prince is about to turn 18, I believe, 17 or 18. I don't know why they make it up to 20 for age, because that's a lot. But yeah, so he has to find a princess. It's basically giving The Bachelor, all the things. Main thing you should know after I went on this spiel of history is the main character does not want to do it, because she likes her art, she likes her life, she she has a secret boyfriend, basically, and so she has no want to leave, she has no want to have a different life, but her mother wants her to try, because you get compensated, like I said, for being in the competition, and if you win, you're princess, and your family is in a higher caste, because this nation still is gone back to the caste system, and they're very far down the food chain. They're not a well-off family at all. And so yeah, her mother, though, the icon that she is, brought the letter out during dinner to have a family discussion about it, even though America doesn't want to do it. So yeah, that's the gist of starting out this story, which is just wonderful. This video is so exposed, but I'm gonna say only on chapter 2 had a thought pop in my head. Her boyfriend that she has is reading the book, his name is Aspen. I'm not an Aspen fan whatsoever, but the one thing he does good, and it's like the first thing he does, is he's telling Mare to enter the selection, and this is his reasoning. If you had a chance for something better than this, and you didn't take it because of me, I'd never forgive myself. I couldn't stand it. Because their entire argument is the fact that he doesn't want to make her lower in caste because she's a 5, she's a 6. Yes, it's in a number order. I can go on about that forever. But he's poorer than she is, and he is a provider for his mother and his siblings. And so marrying her would mean that she becomes a part of his caste because it's a patriarchal society, and enters poverty and has to give up her job because jobs are based off of caste. Anyways, so he's sacrificing what he wants to potentially make a better future for her. The best thing he could ever do. I will say, later on in the book, he goes back on this, and it's annoying. It's annoying. But that selfless act right there is the reason that this book happens, because she takes that and she runs with it, and she basically only enters because he asks her to. And then they get in a fight about it, and it's just like it's a whole thing. And anyways, I had to go on that because that man is not selfless, but in this moment, he is. Also, they're, okay, maybe 18. I don't remember what her age is. They don't go about it specifically. And they're talking about getting married, having kids, whatever. They've been together 2 years. Not that big a deal, but like, when you're that young and you have to think about those things because you can't have a relationship outside, like, it's illegal to have children outside of marriage. It's like, it's illegal to be out after curfew. It's so weird, the amount of rules in this society. Anyways, I can't help but imagine the, like, she pictures this guy to be the love of her life and have nothing, like, no other reason to survive but to love him. And that's such a teenage thought process. And it's so funny. But yeah, okay, I'm going back to reading my book now. Alright, I'm in the same place I was sitting yesterday, but it has been a whole day since I last talked to y'all. I actually haven't opened this book since last night, but I got to page 103. Chapter 10 is where I'm at, so I wanted to fill y'all in on what's happened since the last time I talked. America, the main character, got selected for the selection. The previous chapters went about talking through the process of all the official stuff that has to happen before she arrives to the palace. She ended up actually breaking up with her boyfriend of the time before she got selected. And then, because they got in a big fight, and so, yeah, they didn't end on the best of terms when she left town, when she said goodbye, and so she's kind of just getting over that, I guess is the way to put it. And so they went through the entire makeover process. They're currently eating dinner, or about to finish dinner, on their first night there. And so I think it's really funny because there's a lot of moments, especially in the makeover process, that remind me of the Hunger Games, specifically like the movie. And I don't know if you remember the part in the first Hunger Games when they're like washing her head to toe, shaving her, all that stuff. Katniss specifically. They basically do the same thing in the selection, but for like all of the girls. And it's just funny to look back on how much I like loved that part of the story. Like, it's basically what got me through the first few chapters, and it being so similar to the Hunger Games, and just, I don't know, the connection was very viable in my head. So yeah, I'm gonna sit here, read a couple more chapters. It's about to get to the good part, and I'm very excited because once we get past all of this like opening stuff, it's very worth my time, you know? But also, I didn't realize how short this book was. I got through 100 pages by like not focusing on it yesterday, so I really think I'm gonna be able to plow through this if I sit down and just read it. So yeah, I'm gonna turn Gilmore Girls back on as like background noise and then get back to reading. Okay, we had a little change of scenery here. I'm currently lying on my floor because I spilt a Sonic drink on my bed, or at least just ice. So it's currently drying. I put like Tide on it, whatever. But I just finished chapter 10, which is where I was starting before I last spoke to y'all. But I wanted to come on here and kind of I want to talk about this chapter specifically. One, because it's my favorite, because it's when she meets the prince. But two, because the main character, America, experiences a panic attack. And I feel like the way it was written as a first-time reader, I really didn't understand that's what was happening. I mean, I understood that's what was happening, but like maybe lack of experience or lack of words, whatever, didn't really hit with me. And yet it's still like stuck with me. And now as someone who struggles with anxiety, that, like, it was just so nice. And then there's, like, these little moments where he just makes her feel so safe. And so, like, she just, like, kind of forgets about all of it. But, yeah. It was just so sweet. I love the first time that they meet. There's so many good lines in here. Because she calls the palace, like, a cage. And one of my favorite lines is, I'm trying to forget. I think it's, I hope you find something, I do hope you find something in this cage worth fighting for. After all this, I can only imagine what it would be like to see you actually try. He's down bad for her. I'm just saying. But yeah, okay, I'm gonna keep reading because it gets good. And I feel like I'm just recounting this entire book to y'all, but I love it so much, so I'm just gonna sneak in the little moments that I enjoy. Okay, I'm gonna go back to reading. Let me just trudge on over here. Wow, this is intense lighting. But I wanted to give y'all an update on the book because I've been doing some reading. I'm actually on chapter like 18 now. I think last time I checked in I was on chapter 11. I think they had just met when I had checked in, but it's been 2 weeks in total over the course of the past few chapters. They've gone on 2 dates, I think, technically. But she's not like actively dating him. She's asked to be like his friend and just stay there because she needs the distance and the money, and so she's acting as like his confidant, whatever. Yeah, no. And so they have like their own little like secret signal. So technically they've hung out, or like they've spent more time together than like 2 dates, but they've been like they've been seen twice together by other people. And he's already learned a lot about her. I don't know. The first time I read this part, I was like, I really thought she was like full on, like just trying to be friends with him. And then I noticed she says like some things now that like you can really tell that she likes him. And it's like, girl, you just called that man handsome. Like, I mean, obviously you could call a man handsome, but like, I don't know. He's like openly flirting with her. His demeanor shifts when he looks at her. It's just, he's obsessed with her in a good way. And I love the little parts that show it, because it's like feeding me through this reread. But what he just did was, she had told him a story of how she had gone hungry before and been like actually starving, which he's never experienced before. And so after hearing that story, he turns around and uses the compensation that the girls were getting. He uses a part of that to instead of giving the rich more money, he sets up these like shelters, or like not shelters, but like food banks, kind of, where you can go and get free food. So he's, you know, already making a difference with what little impact she's had on his life. And so right now they're about to get ready for their like Friday. Every Friday they do like a capital report, and the girls are going on, this is their second capital report, and they're talking to like this book's version of Caesar Flickerman, basically. His name is Gavril Friday. I don't remember how to say his last name, but they're gonna go on the show and talk to him, and this is like one of my favorite parts of this book. I feel like I've said that every time I pull this up, but like it just gets so good. And I don't actually remember this book being this short. Like I felt like everything that I just read took place over more than like 2 weeks and like a couple chapters, but in hindsight it was only a couple chapters of the book. So I really think if I sit down and read this, I'm gonna finish this by tonight, which is good because it's been a couple days, so like honestly it shouldn't have taken me this long to read this book, but I haven't been like sitting down and devoting my time to it. So I'm gonna devote time to it tonight to finish this little section that I have left, and then we'll move on to book 2. Guys, I just read their first kiss. One of my favorite moments. Also the moment she decides to actually start trying in the competition. Kind of. Ish. Yeah, it's the moment she decides to start trying in the competition. And now I'm on chapter 19, and there's 25 chapters, and I kind of want to end on this happy note, but I will check back in the morning, probably, once I finish reading all this. Okay, I'm gonna enjoy it now. Okay, this is absolutely terrible lighting, but I wanted to close out this video with y'all because I did finish the selection and just give you my final thoughts on the book before I, finish this video, go on to reading the next book. I already started reading the second book in the series, The Elite, and so I kind of wanted to give a little recap of the last like 2 chapters of the book. They're the like major like I'm sorry. The major shift in the plot is that America's boyfriend from back home becomes a guard at the palace and basically like tries to win her back. And so America at the end of the book is torn between the person she thought she was going to spend the rest of her life with and the person she's starting to have feelings for now. And the catalyst to kind of dwindle it down from about 19 girls to the 6 left for the elite. The elite is the title for the remaining 6 of the competition, was that there was a major rebel attack, I think is what they call them. The rebels attack multiple times in the courses of these books, attack the palace, but there's a difference between like northern rebels and southern rebels. The northerners are much more docile and not as like no one dies. When the northerners come to attack, it's more just like disruption and destruction of property, whereas the southerners actually do like kill people and take people, and it's much more violent. And so the southerners attacked for the first time, and Maxon didn't want to keep people after the attack was over. He didn't want to keep people there that he didn't see a reason to. He didn't see a future with them for whatever reason. And so he sent all but 6 home. America was included in that 6. And what we get at this point is that like Maxon is literally in love with America. That's the only person that he, as of right now, has feelings for, but he kept others for other reasons, whether it be political, social, people's favorite, stuff like that. So yeah, the selection ends on the elite becoming the last 6, and this was, in hindsight, the shorter out of the 3 books, but it was obviously one of my favorites. I love it. The pacing of the book felt really good, even though I was a much quicker reader than the last time that I read it. But yeah, I finished it in, I think it was less than a week. I didn't really keep 100% track of what I was reading, or how fast I was reading it. But yeah, I also rated it 5 stars on my Goodreads. I'm going to add it to my book journal when I get the time. And I'm going to make another video about the elite because I really like bringing y'all along for this book series. If y'all want to see me read more books, I would love to share that with y'all. Most of these reading vlogs will probably include spoilers, so maybe let's keep it to books that like not everyone's read, but like well-read books that I probably haven't read yet. So yeah, I think that's it for this video. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Hope it wasn't too long. But yeah, let's get on to reading another book. Bye, lovelies.